This is the End Zone. Today we're covering the rules that the NFL will be proposed pretty soon, including the onside kick, the sky judge, and I'm going to talk about rules that maybe the NFL should look at. And also, if you are a person who is dead set against anything rules related in the NFL changing, let me open your mind a bit. Because the NFL that you know and love today is very much influenced by spring football. And let's talk about the United States Football League. If you don't know what it was a league in the 80s, a spring league. It was pretty successful. It ended up folding though. But it lives on today through the rules and the influence that it had on the National Football League. What influence was it? Well, let's look at this. Imagine a football without 2-point conversions, without the coach's challenge, without a salary cap, without juniors turning pro. Those were all innovations created by the United States Football League that eventually the NFL took on. And there were people at that time who were totally against it, just like we're seeing now. But history repeats itself. As I'm going to say, I think that the NFL is going to change some rules pretty soon. It may not be this year, it might take a while, but the NFL has changed rules from spring football. It's very spring football influenced. So with that being said, let's get into the first rule. This comes from the AAF / the XFL, and that is the sky judge. The sky judge is an awesome idea. It's basically a referee in the sky who can call penalties or something that maybe wasn't seen on the field. Also, in the review, we would get cameras in the review box with the AAF and in the XFL. We got to see basically the reviewers review the play, talk about it under a certain time limit. So it just basically gives us more transparency, something that I feel the NFL really needs right now more than ever. People want to see the calls. People want to see what the referees are going through. They should be mic'd up. We should hear, I don't want to sit for an hour listening to a commentator's opinion whether or not he thought a foot was in or out. I want to see the actual referees talking about it and the actual sky judge and reviewers talk about it. So that's kind of two things mixed into one. Now let's go talk about the rule that everyone is talking about. It's the onside kick. Now, in the Alliance of American Football, the onside kick was just a conversion. Now, this conversion, only one team was able to convert. It was the Atlanta Legends versus the Birmingham Iron. If a team is trailing by 17 or there's 5 minutes or less in the fourth quarter, they can attempt to convert on a 4th and 12 on their own 28-yard line. Does that sound familiar kind of to what the NFL is trying to do? An onside kick, 4th and 15 from the 25-yard line can be used 2 times each quarter. Offensive and defensive penalties will be applied. Once the offense is on the field, there's no going back. I think I may have said 4th and 15 for the AF. It was actually 4th and 12. My mistake, but you see they're pretty similar for the most part. And I think that the NFL is going to take some consideration on this rule. Now, let me tell you where I kind of see a flaw in it. The AAF's conversion was because there was no kickoffs in the Alliance of American Football. There is no way, it doesn't make sense to have onside kicks if there's no kickoff. You understand what I'm saying in the Alliance of American Football, but with the NFL, they still have a kickoff. In the AAF, teams would just start on the 25-yard line. So it was an alternative to the onside kick. In the NFL, there's not really a need for an alternative, and it really changes the way the game is played. But I'm open to the rule change. I do love onside kicks, but I'm not totally against it. Now, should the NFL change kickoffs? Should they start at the 25-yard line? I know a lot of people are probably going to be against this, but in the Alliance of American Football, it was actually great. The games took less time because teams would just line up with their offenses at the 25-yard line. I was really a fan of that in the Alliance of American Football, but it might be too much of a change for NFL fans who are diehards. Now, here is something that the NFL should definitely look at: the extra points. Now, the XFL's extra point system, I was not a fan of. It was a tier system where you could go for 1, 2, or 3. The AAF was straight up, you go for 2 every time you score. I think that's honestly the best way to go about it if you're the NFL. extra points are just so boring now that if every team had to go for two, could you imagine some of the great plays, some of the great games that we would get to see from 2-point conversions? I mean, I feel like they would have unique packages. Maybe quarterbacks who are more athletic would want to be on the goal line. They would have different, unique, and exciting plays. It would just make the game more exciting. So I'm all for changing the extra points, doing it AAF style, not tiers like the XFL, but you have to go for two. Thanks for watching the End Zone. Let me know what you think down below. Are you a fan of these rule changes? Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment so we can move the chains.